We're talking about community, and she said that she grew up in a small town in Pennsylvania, and there was all these community connections within the town. But her parents encouraged her to move away because there was nothing there for the young people after they graduated from high school. And she said, we ended up in cities, and I live in a nice area of Portland, but to tell you the truth, I know a little bit about my neighbors, but we're not really friends. I mean, if somebody's stealing their car, you know, we pay attention to that, but we don't really have that kind of closeness. And she said, you know, I almost regret that my children did not have the opportunity to grow up in neighborhoods where people knew each other's names and kids played outside and grew up together. There's something to be said for smallness. In an age of big box stores and high-rises and urban areas where the suave and the elite mingle and ignore the need of the neighbor right across the street. There's something to be said for small towns and islands. I sit sometimes in the morning with Catherine overlooking Main Street and having a cup of coffee before we get breakfast. And I watch people who come in. And I can say to Catherine, there's 2 blueberry pancakes about to be ordered. Or there's so-and-so. By the way, he told me he's not been feeling well lately. We talk about it. There's something to be said about people caring and pay attention on an island or in a small church. I've been in big churches. I've been in large cosmopolitan areas. I've lived in the San Francisco area. I've lived in other urban areas in my lifetime. But there's no place like a place. You remember this line if you ever watched Cheers on television even once. Don't you want to go where everybody knows your name and they're always glad you came? That's friendship. Friends are people who connect to each other. They don't need to plan 5 weeks in advance. Let's have coffee at the cafe. They're happy to get together. Glad to see you. And I love the quote this morning from Wendell Berry. It's on the beginning of your bulletin. A community is the knowledge that people have of each other, their concern for each other, their trust in each other, and the freedom in which they come and go among themselves. Friendship is not always being in a person's personal space, but it's a sense of trust and commitment and loyalty and connectedness and a matter of keeping in touch that really counts. And one of the greatnesses of this island is that we still care about each other. And when someone passes, we talk about it. We note the passing, and we're concerned. We're interested in what happens to our children. We're interested in what happens to our neighborhoods. We're interested in the price of real estate on this island, and the people who are losing their boats and being foreclosed upon with their mortgages, because we are a community. We are not an aggregate. We're not just a collection of people living in some small geographical place who care not about each other. We are a community of friends. We don't have to think alike, and we don't have to believe alike, and we don't have to vote the same way, and we may not hold the same opinions, but it really matters that you are okay and I am okay to each other. I remember one day I was driving along and a miracle happened on the island. It shocked me. I'm driving, just coming back into Stonington. that little stretch where the sign is. You know, there's a pond on the right, and body of water, and my cell phone rang. And I said, my God, what meaneth this? I mean, the cell phone never works anywhere on the island. And so I pulled over. I pulled over and answered the call. I had no more than pulled over when Debbie Alley was driving by the other direction, and she stopped and said to me, "Are you okay?" Because it was so unusual to see me pulled over along the side of the road. We care about each other, folks. That's what love is about. That's what's great about this church. We know each other's names. We're glad when you show up. We're glad when we miss you when you're gone. You count. You're not just a statistic. Human beings matter within friendships and community. And in that meditation that I read to you this morning, it's the simple things of friendship that count. That smile, that embrace, that how are you doing? You need to talk, let's get together. That simple gift. We don't have to be giving millions to each other to be friends. We just need to give ourselves, which is far more costly. To be available. To say, all right, so it's a little inconvenient. And I'm really kind of ticked off because you woke me up, but I'm still going to help you out. And sometimes friends will get a little irritated with each other. But oh, let me tell you something. That's just family stuff. But when there's a battle with an outside enemy, and illness comes to someone's home on this island, there are people who may not speak to each other at other times throughout the year, but when there needs to be a fundraiser, you know what's going to happen on this island, don't you? We're going to band together. And it won't matter what church they're from or if they even think that there's a God. We're going to help them. And that's the greatness of community and friendship. It's that phone call, that little note in the mail that says, "Happy birthday. We care about you. We love our kids." And so those are the values that inspire me this year as I go forth in 2010. Amen to 2010. Amen.
Amen.